Martin Luther King has said that riot is a language of the unheard, and I feel that whatever we are witnessing here in the UK today is a testament to that statement. Namaste to all of you. Welcome back to my channel. This is Anvi Prabhu with you. A lot has happened in the UK over the past few days, and I feel that one of the things that is really common around the world is this criminalization of the so-called right wing. Though I honestly feel that these distinctions between definitions of left wing and right wing have drastically changed over the years. Whatever the right wing is accused of, the left wing is actually guilty of it, if you look at it, because it is the left wing that tries to silence people who have a different opinion to them. It is the left wing that tries to take away the free speech platforms from people who have differing opinions. It is the left wing that tries to shut down events or organizations or ask for people to lose their jobs who slightly have a different opinion to them. Whereas all the qualities of the left wing, which is supposed to be liberalism, openness, freedom for all of that is being espoused by the right wing. So I feel that in discussions of today's political climate and events, societal events, I feel that these differences do not really matter anymore. And it is really harmful if we blatantly and stubbornly stick to these age-old definitions without actually looking at the nuances of it. It really pains me to see the fissures in British society, and I feel that it's really important for us to distinguish between what is action and what is a reaction, because what the far right of British society today is accused of is actually, from what we can see and understand, is a form of response to what has been happening over the past several years. So the white, middle class, working class British rarely, if at all, comes out on the streets to riot and to protest. So rather than branding each person who is out on the streets as a far right, or the other words that have been used like far right thugs or the criminals or whatever, it might be important to take a step back and to really understand what has instigated this. And none of us are blind to the reasons, to be honest. It is out in the open. The proof is there for all of us to see. So I'm going to jump straight into the heart of the matter, which is immigration. Not every white, British, working class, middle class person thinks of immigration as bad or unnecessary. But when unfortunate incidents happen, I think it brings to light a lot of other issues that are related to immigration. And it's a failure to look at these other issues, these related issues, these important issues that come along with immigration. The failure to look at them, the failure to examine them, the failure to address them is what is going to cause the kind of agitation that we see today. So is violence the answer? Absolutely not. Is spreading misinformation on social media, targeting specific groups or individuals the answer? Absolutely not. Is painting a person or a particular group as black and white the answer? Absolutely not. Is targeting spaces of worship, religious spaces the answer? Absolutely not. Like, there are no two ways about that. And it is appalling to see the kind of events that have occurred, the kind of violence that has occurred. But also, political correctness all the time is not the answer. Pandering to and patronizing one section of the society over the other is not the answer. The disregard and turning a blind eye to the facts, to the nuances, to the actual reasons of why the people are agitating, also not the answer. Because all of this is only going to fuel the disconnect and the discontent that the public feels, the divide between the public, what they are trying to express, what they are trying to say, and the deaf ears and the blind eyes of people in power is only going to widen the gap. I feel I'm able to understand and empathize with the white middle class because I feel that the situation somehow reminds me of the situation back home in India. Obviously, the nuances are different. It's like comparing apples and oranges, but there are certain things which are very similar. Because in India, the Hindu majority has also been branded as the far right, as the Nazi, as the oppressors. but nobody knows the reasons of why certain events have occurred, why people have responded or agitated in a certain way, what has happened prior to that. Like nobody knows that. The media doesn't talk about that, neither the international media knows about that, or even if it knows, it doesn't talk about that. And I feel that in that respect, somehow the situation is similar, and I am able to understand and empathize with what is happening. So, coming back to what is happening here in Britain, it has mainly been sparked by the really tragic and brutal murder of three girls and several others injured in a Taylor Swift themed dance class in Southport, in a town called Southport. And and I think it was yesterday that Keir Starmer said, um, people, and I quote, people have a right to feel safe in this country. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. I think any person in any country has the right to feel safe. But in response, a lot of the British would also say that they have a right to feel safe in their very own country. And that is a very logical and a very sane thing to say. So when the government fails to control its borders, releases prisoners into the streets, welcomes more than 130,000 illegal immigrants into the country, and people have no idea who they are, what they want to do, what their goals are, where are they coming from, and all of that, then obviously the public is not going to feel safe. So, border control is one of the main basic duties of any government of any country. And at the same time, the people who come into the country, who are given shelter in a particular country, the most basic thing that they can do is to follow the law and order there. I'm an immigrant myself. I've been living here in the UK for the past 7 years around. And I also understand and I empathize with the fact that not every migrant that comes here comes with the same kind of background. Not everybody has had a safe childhood. Not everybody has had a safe upbringing. Not everybody has a safe environment in which they grew up in. So there are a lot of different factors that contribute to why a person chooses to migrate to a different country. And and I feel that one of the main things is to experience a safer way of life, a more better way of life, a more abundant way of life. But if migration is not followed by integration, then obviously the biggest question that rises up is, then why did you migrate to a certain country? And again, this is not to blame any migrants or to, point fingers at any migrants or any specific groups or anything, but it is a very genuine question of, if migrants are coming to a particular country to feel safe, then the least that they can do is to follow the law and order of that country, to integrate into the country. I'm not saying that everybody should give up their cultures. Of course not. We all have our own identities. And I think the main point of diversity, equality and diversity is that where you maintain your individuality, but at the same time, you also become a part of the society rather than having no-go zones in a society, which is seen in a lot of countries, rather than saying that a certain way of life is better than the other ways of life. And again, a lot of sections have done this, a lot of groups of people have done this. Then the biggest question is, then why are you migrating to a particular country? And I honestly don't think it is racist or phobic of any particular faith or religion to ask this question. That is also not to say that every migrant that comes here is trouble or has bad intentions. And I feel that, strangely, today's political and societal conversations, we are forced to go to extremes rather than trying to strike a balance. So you either belong to a group that says that every migrant is bad and immigration is not welcome and blah, 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 or you're forced to belong to the other group that says, no, let's welcome every single person. Let's welcome 500,000 people to migrate. There is no problem at all. Like, I think that these conversations need to have a balance, and that conversations need to come from people in power, because otherwise the common people, the middle class, the working class, who are just going about their day-to-day lives, they will be forced to have these conversations, and those conversations will not always remain just as conversations. They might also turn into actions. Sometimes what we fail to realize is that there is a particular incident that instigates action and response on the scale that we are seeing today. But there are several hundred other incidents that have happened prior to this, which have been brushed under the carpet, and it's like a pressure cooker. The people's agitations and people's fears have been boiling and boiling and boiling, and finally one day they are going to burst out if they are not addressed in a timely and in a patient and a sensitive manner. It's high time to have really mature adult conversations, which are going to be hard to have. There's no doubt about that. But it is the need of the hour. There needs to be patience, there needs to be tenderness, there needs to be sensitivity. But at the same time, we really need to look at hard facts. We really need to take accountability. Um, and then, only then, will we be able to arrive at an answer that is a solution for the society as a whole. Otherwise, it just remains as, again, political discussions that go nowhere. It remains as, pages in history that will go down as, oh, the riots took place and the right wing did that and the left wing did this, and it's only going to remain there. And it can't be allowed to be as simplistic as that anymore. And I feel that the public, the mass, is really ready to have these conversations. If the people in power are ready to listen, then there will definitely be a way forward to go from here. I think we really need to have the courage to look at what has happened, what is happening, and then look at what is the way forward. All these three need to be looked at in relation to each other, because if we only look at what is happening and ignore what has instigated it, then I don't think it's possible for us to arrive at a solution that encompasses all of us as a society. Controlled discussions, tiptoeing around issues, brushing things under the carpet is not going to help any of us anymore. And I don't think the general public, the mass, is going to have it anymore as well. Thank you so much for being with me here today. Please do let me know in the comments below your thoughts, your opinions. I love to listen and read all of your comments. And until next time, take care.